We all know the Super Bowl is coming up, and let's be honest, nobody wants to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again, except for the Chiefs fans. And maybe everybody wants to see the Eagles in the Super Bowl again because we think that the Eagles should be able to beat the Chiefs. That's just how I feel about this. However, I thought it would be cool to go back through my fan conversations that I had before the playoffs started and give some context to those of you that will be watching the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles play in the Super Bowl. Let me know who you are cheering for the Super Bowl. I think it should be as no surprise who I'm going to cheer for, but it will tell you at the end of this video because there will be something that I say at the end of this that will let you know who it is that I am going for. You all know how much I love to talk to fans and get them involved, and guess what? Why not? It is the Super Bowl. This is what everybody is living for. This is what everybody is playing for all season, is for the Super Bowl moment. So what better moment than to take a second, step back, and listen to the fans talk about their respective teams. So what you're going to see at the other side of this video is the conversation that I had before the playoffs, and you're hopefully going to get the chance to learn more about the Eagles and more about the Kansas City Chiefs. The other thing I will say here is you also will figure out who I'm going for, if you don't already know, on the other side of this video, because you know what? I just want to see something different. So I am going to cheer for something different. And this outfit kind of is reflective on what I might think on the other side of this video. Welcome everybody to the Big Chief Show. We're going to talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs. They are the first, the best, the everything. And we're here. And thank you so much for gracing us with your precious time, because we all know champions have a lot of work to do. And we want to thank you for gracing us with your time. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you.
So how was the season for you? The season started. What were you thinking? Like, how is it being a Chiefs fan? Listen, my team's awful right now. So how is it being a Chiefs fan? How do you go into the season? What are your expectations? Like, share with us. We don't have the experience.
So I remember the last time I know we was talking, our conversation was kind of like, I think maybe mid-season or whatever it was.
It was in the off-season. It was in May.
Off-season. So I was talking about the draft. So we did draft the left tackle, a guy out of BYU that I was pretty high on. We got him in the second round. I thought he would be a guy. No, actually, did the draft already happen? I think we was talking about the draft.
We talked about the draft. We talked about off-season acquisitions.
Right. So the draft had already happened.
Yep.
Right. And so I was pretty high on the kid.
Yeah, you had your phone with your list out.
Right. He didn't pan out. He's a young kid. Andy Reid kind of slow plays offensive lineman coming into the league. So I'm not completely put off by his performance and how it turned out. With that being said, Xavier Worthy is who I thought he was, a field stretcher. Like I said,
welcome.
There you go. With that being said, I mean, expectations are, I don't even have any expectation. We are who we are.
Yeah.
Like when we come into the season, we're going to win. That's not even a question or a thought. Like I don't, like I think at this point, it's just kind of like the when, the why, the how. It's not even like I want to go in here and dominate this game and beat these guys by so many points. Like I know a lot of fans, hey, you barely won this one. Hey, we won. I'm concerned about the end result, not necessarily the mechanics in between. So long
and the
as
injuries.
Even that. I feel like we're so built for this. That's a part of our makeup. We pose to go through adversity. Because we the champs. Nobody has sympathy for us. So not even me. So with that being said, so anything that happens outside of like Patrick, like even Rashee Rice had a terrible offseason. I kind of feel like if it was kind of karma for his offseason, because he kind of got off kind of light, tear his leg up. Hey, no worries. Let's keep pushing. Yeah. Keep pushing. We all right. I'm not worried about that. So it's just like I'm at the casino, right? The casino gave me the money and said, have at it. How can I lose?
That's a good analogy. I'll give it to you. So, that was a good analogy. Having said that, how are you feeling about the season? How are you feeling about the team? How are you feeling overall as an Eagles fan?
I'm feeling really good. Obviously, like we talked before the season, I felt like this was going to be, a big year for us. I felt like the writing on the wall was that, we would end up making it here. Our biggest issues last season we addressed, which was coordinators and a secondary. And this offseason, we poured all of our resources in the draft into the secondary. We hired 2 veteran coordinators at the defensive side and the offensive side. So I was very confident coming into the season. And it's just good to know that, everything fell into place and we're in a good spot heading into the playoffs.
Yeah. I feel like everything that we talked about before happened.
Right.
Like everything you said in our conversation, because I went back and listened to it, everything you said actually happened exactly the way that you said it, which was pretty amazing. What surprised you this year? Like going through the season, was there any moment or was there anything that now you're thinking, just reflecting back, that you're like, I'm kind of surprised that this worked out this way or that this thing happened?
Honestly, nothing really surprised me. I mean, like I said, we addressed everything. Like we invested capital into the secondary, and now we have one of the best secondaries. We hired 2 experienced coordinators who have led top units before in Kellen and Vic Fangio, and they're doing what we've seen them do before in the past. Like Dallas had a top 3 offense when Kellen Moore was there.
You actually call them Dallas.
Well, I don't call them. I don't call them by their mascot. I always say Dallas. I just don't say.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But yeah, I have to give some context so people,
if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go to, I don't have TikTok, I'm assuming it's there too, but you have to go to her Instagram, because every week she will give who she thinks is going to win. And sometimes I'm just listening to wait to hear you say the little boys. Like, I'm not going to lie. So anyways, that's why I said that. So
yeah, but I always say Dallas though, because there's people that actually don't know what I'm talking about when I say the little boys. So I will get them, because it's still a city, so I'll still say Dallas.
That's fair. That's fair.
But
Just nothing else.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, but I don't think anything surprised me. Like, we have the talent, we had the leadership in place. Like, we should have what we are now. Like, we should have been with everything that we have.
So how's money?
So then, did anything surprise you this year?
The fact that we didn't score 30 points, like we're not, like we can't put that pressure on teams.
How did you know that y'all haven't scored 30 points?
How did I know?
Yeah.
Well, we have, but I'm saying for the majority of our games, we were winning games outside of actually scoring 30 points. With that being said, I think we actually put up 30 points eventually this year.
And y'all have only put up 30 at this point. Right. Nothing over. Yeah.
Nothing over.
Yeah.
I believe, but I believe every game before this particular game I'm speaking of, we hadn't scored 30 just yet.
Oh, I don't know. Like, because I remember when you all played us, I was like, of course, I make a video and I'm like, Kansas City hasn't scored 30 points and they're going to score it against us.
Oh, yeah, I watched that video.
And they didn't. I know you did. That's why I was saying before you're not going to admit where you heard it?
No credit. No, you won't get any credit either. Nope.
Nah. Oh, right. This is your show. That's why I was like, where did you hear that from? But you tried to sidestep the bait. You had to So let's see. So yeah, y'all have only scored 30 points one time, and it was against the Panthers, and that was to win the game. And other than that, you haven't scored. The closest you've gotten was to 29. And you scored 30 in overtime to beat the Bucks.
Boom.
And that's it.
Pretty much.
So yeah, must be nice. Yeah, and that's I've by this recording I've already had my conversation with the Eagles fan Simone, and that's what I always say though about good football teams is you find ways to win games. It's not necessarily the prettiest, it's not necessarily the most entertaining, it's not necessarily whatever, but you just find a way. And whether it's offense, defense, kicker, punter, making a play, like whatever, it's just like markings of a good football team must be nice. So yeah, we'll move on about that. What do you think the strength is of your team this year? Do you think this year your team is built differently? Do you see something different than you've seen before? Like, how are you feeling about this team this year?
That's interesting. Only because it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to say we're unbeatable, but we only can beat ourselves.
So that's fair.
So what do you do with that?
So, I don't think that you're wrong. Yeah. I actually don't think that you're wrong.
It's greatness.
I think the only way somebody's going to be able to beat the Chiefs is if they get into a shootout and for some reason they can't score, which I don't know why they wouldn't be able to score.
See, that's why it's hard to kind of answer your question, because I'm like, who can beat me but me? And
turnovers, because that's the great equalizer.
Like I said, my mistake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
So it's like
I mean, like I said, you're not wrong. I mean, I can't disprove you. You won 2 freaking Super Bowls, so clearly.
Right. And then it's like, even when I was wrong, I could have been right. Because technically, you see what I'm saying? I don't really want to get too far into it, but I'm just saying.
Oh, you don't want to get too philosophical?
Yeah, I don't want to take too deep. I want the people to stay with me. They already hating.
Okay.
Stop hating from down there.
Okay, here we go with this.
Just saying.
The other thing is, how have you liked having DeAndre Hopkins? How do you feel like how has that changed? Has it changed the offense? What does that feel like having him? Kind of like
having a steady presence. Settles the in other words, he like a Coke, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what you get when you can get you a Coke. You know what I mean? For the most part, you know, you can have it with the chips, you can have it with breakfast, you can have it with dinner. It's just there. Like, it's just fulfilling. It quenches your thirst. Like, he's just a solid player. Like, he's solid. Like, he evened out our rough edges. Like, he's a guy where he's gonna make the hard catch, and he's just gonna be a veteran presence for Pat to put the ball on him when it's that time.
What do you think the strength is of your team? There's so many to choose from. I'm curious to see what you're going to say.
I would probably definitely say the defense overall. Like, obviously, you know, you want to hone in on Saquon Barkley in the offense and, you know, in the offensive line, and, you know, them two together, Saquon Barkley in the offensive line is amazing. But I definitely think the defense is the biggest strength of the team, just all around up front, secondary, the linebacker group. We have a lot of depth on defense as well, especially in, you know, the cornerback room, like Darius Slay. He'll miss some time, and then Isaiah Rodgers will come in, step in, and be effective for him. The defensive line, like, we lost Brandon Graham mid-season, and they didn't miss a beat, like missing a starting defensive end who is just so effective like Brandon Graham is. You didn't even notice that, you know, he was out for the season because everybody just stepped up. The defense definitely, I feel like, definitely sets the tone. We've seen, you know, situations this season where, like, the offense would come out slow. The offense would be stagnant. We know that, you know, Saquon Barkley does most of his damage in the second half and specifically in the fourth quarter. And that's the defense, you know, that's keeping us in the game, getting those stops when the offense was slow to begin with. So I would definitely say the defense.
Yeah, I love that. What do you think your biggest weakness is?
Weakness, I would say probably, I guess you could say, the slow starts. You know, in the playoffs, you definitely don't have an opportunity to, you know, be slow at any point. In the game against Dallas last week, you know, it ended up being a blowout, but the first couple of series, you know, the offense was stagnant. Like, the defense was getting turnovers. The defense was, you know, got a pick six, put some points on the board, kept getting stops. But, you know, the first couple of offensive series was a little slow, a little stagnant. So I think definitely, you know, like I said, we're a defensive-led team. And that's, worked for us all season long. But I think definitely coming into the playoffs, we have to score fast. We have to strike fast.
It's interesting to hear you say y'all are a defense-led team. That's interesting. I wouldn't think that, but I could see why you would say that.
Yeah.
I think it. So would you say, like, if you all do you think that you all could win in a shootout? Like, do you think, like, listen, good teams have multiple ways to win games.
Yeah.
I got that. But if you were to pick like the style of game you want to play, would it be like a defensive battle, or would you prefer an offensive game?
I mean, we're very good on both sides of the ball.
Yes,
so like,
that's a fact.
We could win either way. Like, I definitely could see if it was a defensive. And when I say like we're defensive led and not leaps and bounds ahead, I just know that the defense definitely is a tone. Like they
can hold their own.
They're a tone setter. And like we've seen throughout the season, we've played numerous high power offenses. The Bengals shut them down. We played the Ravens. We shut them down. We played Washington the first time with Jalen Hurts. I don't count the second time because we didn't have Jalen Hurts. And at that time, they had the hot offense and shut them down. So we just seen the defense just be tested times and answer the call. But I do think if we were in a shootout, I would wholeheartedly trust our defense to get the last stop. If we were in a defensive game, which we've have been this season, I will wholeheartedly believe in Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley getting that extra yard. Like even the first time we played Washington, it was a defensive battle. But when it got tough and later, Saquon Barkley broke loose. Jalen Hurts started taking off with his legs, reaching and getting those first downs. So even if we get into a situation where, it's defense and we need the offense, I'll trust both. The defense just has so much like energy and swagger that everybody on the team feeds off of. Like, celebration started from the defense, like bringing CJGJ back. He's like a real vocal leader, like, somebody that everybody feeds off of. So I just feel like the defense just brings so much energy.
I think you're not wrong. It's interesting. And you're right. Like listen, you're a good football team. So you could have went any way. And I probably would have been like, really, I'm shocked you didn't say the defense. So I get it. Okay. This question is going to be very hard for you, but I need you to find a way to answer this. What is your biggest weakness?
Biggest weakness. Our biggest weakness for my team.
Yeah. No, you as an individual. What is your biggest weakness? Yes, for your team. What is the biggest weakness?
The offensive line would be our biggest weakness. We have a guard playing left tackle because it was patchwork all year. And the right tackle, he's serviceable, but it's looking like we should have paid Orlando Brown his money.
Yeah.
So,
it's kind of, everybody gave me crap for my video that I made about the Chiefs, and they were like, that is not a weakness. I'm like, oh, that's funny how it's coming back around.
Yeah.
But
if it didn't come from me, don't even worry about it.
You've said so far everything that I've said. So
I know.
It's the same thing. I think, if your offensive line, is it the right side or the left side, or do you just think
it's
all
really
of it
both.
kind of
it's
is
really
patchwork?
The tackles. It's really the tackles.
It's the tackles,
like,
yeah.
Before Jalen Hurts got hurt against Washington, we was actually walking Washington down. So I feel like that fortune
that loss piss you off?
It really didn't, because I mean, it's Jalen Hurts got hurt, so like it's nothing you can do about it. Like,
okay, are you scared to play the Bills at all? Would you be like, here we go with this again? Or
no, that means once we beat them, that means Super Bowl time.
Okay. So you feel pretty confident about them.
It's like an old man. We lose to them in a regular season, beat them in the playoffs, go to the Super Bowl.
Okay. So you're ready to go.
It's written already. It's like our story.
Okay. The next question is, if you guys win the Super Bowl this year and I call you 3 minutes. When you guys win the Super Bowl this year and I call you 3 minutes after the game and I say, Big Chief, you guys won the Super Bowl. You will tell me what will be the reason why you all won the Super Bowl.
That's interesting. What would be the reason? I'd just say Andy Reid. Big Red.
Fair.
Simple as that. Big Red. Who?
Fair.
I mean, he that guy. Like, he's a man's man, you know? And it's like,
here we go with this.
Not only is it like, no, seriously, like, not only is it because
okay, hold on. What's your definition of a man's man?
I just think he's personable. I feel like this is how I would build my team if I was a GM, right? I am interested in the players with particular character flaws. Why am I interested in these players? Because I know mistakes build character. So, depending on what type of community I have, it allows me to push you up.
Right, you can bring the best out of those guys.
If I catch somebody already at this particular level, not to say you don't need those guys, but I think those guys have become robots, and it becomes generic. And when it becomes generic, it's not interesting enough, and it just doesn't excite. It doesn't twinkle and glisten. I wanted to twinkle. I want a little spice on it. You know what I mean?
You want a little bit of struggle bus so that you can give them a community.
Yeah, a little thug life.
Yeah, make them appreciate the community. They're still going to have the same personality. Still going to have the same attitude. Still going to have the same everything.
In those guys. And I believe that's the reason why he's better than everybody else. I feel like it's pure. And I feel like that's why I say he's a man's man. I don't feel like it's a false reality and they pretend like they with you. And then they don't really be with you. I feel like Big Red, he really with you. You know what I mean?
A bar.
And so with that, I just got the ultimate respect for him. And I think that's just a bonus. Like, I respect the man. Like, even before I even respect the coach. Like, I just think he's a good man. And with that, I'm like, that's the type of guy where I feel like that's why organizations can't recreate what we got.
I agree.
We really all in on our leader.
Yeah, I agree.
We all in on him.
I agree.
And the beyond the X's and O's is we don't want to let him down because we know he really gonna ride. He gonna give you that second opportunity, maybe even a third. But you don't want, if a guy stand on the table for you, you want him to make him look. You want to make him look good.
Okay, so let's say this is 3 minutes after the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, and I call you for whatever reason. I'm like, girl, they did it! Oh my God, the Eagles! And I say to you, how did they do this? Like, how did they get this done? Like, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, what will be the reason why?
I'm gonna say again the defense, because I mean we were in the Super Bowl last time and the offense move, and it came down to the defense not being able to get stops.
Yeah.
I know this is offense, but I still do believe like defense wins championships. It's going to come down to creating turnovers in the playoffs, getting crucial stops, being very sound defensively. I feel like the offense can afford to make mistakes here and there, but I just feel like the defense just has to be sharp and has to maintain that sharpness throughout the playoffs. So I definitely think it will be because of the defense. And last time we won the Super Bowl was off big defensive play. I mean, Brandon Graham in the strip sack. So it's just, just got to get those key stops. And it's a lot of talented teams that's going to, be coming through. A lot of like juggernaut offenses, like especially in the AFC with like the Bills and the Chiefs. So like it's definitely going to be a defensive task, in my opinion.
I say this. I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to absolutely nobody but us. Shout out to us. You know why? Because arguably we have the best coach ever When it's all said and done, arguably, we're going to have the best quarterback to ever step on the field and grace the field and do it. When it's all said and done, we're going to arguably have one of the best tight ends ever to ever do it. We also have been deemed the worst 16-1 team ever. Never even happened before. Yeah. So with that being said, we are a 10-time conference winner.
This man said 16-1.
What is it? 15? 6? What is it? Or 17? What is it?
I think y'all are probably going to lose to the Broncos because none of your starters are playing.
What is it? Is it 17 games? 18 games?
It's 18 weeks, 17 games. So right now you guys are probably 15-1. So if you win, you'll be 16-1. If you lose, you'll be 15-2.
Okay, well maybe I had it correct the first time. Then I'm not sure. 16-1.
But the problem is though, if y'all beat the Broncos, you're giving the Bengals a chance to enter the playoffs. You need to let the Broncos.
Fear no man.
Okay, you know what? You're right.
Actually, we welcome them in. With that being said, shout out to Carson Wentz, former number 1 pick. I think he's number 1. Maybe not, but he's a guy. Even our backup is a guy. And
let's see.
Shout out to the defense, man. Shout out to Chris Jones. One of the best.
He was the 2nd overall pick.
Okay, Carson number Wentz. 2. Boom. That's why he's the number 2 quarterback. We take number 2 quarterbacks and make him number 2 quarterback. Boom. Shout out to Chris Jones. Shout out to who else I want to give a shout out to? Drew Tranquil. Shout out to McDuffie. Isaiah Pacheco. Shout out to number 1. Gliding up and down that field. Rasheed Rice, get healthy, boy. Got love for you. Shout out to the O-line. Let's go. Shout out to the running backs. Let's get it in. Shout out to D-Hop. One time for D-Hop. Handling that business. One time for Justin Watson. Never seen a white buddy can run like that. Shout out to Brett Veach, the upper management. Shout out to Dave Tobe, the special teams coordinator. Shout out to our defensive coordinator. What a guy. What a guy. I just think at the end of the day, it's better than you. You know what I mean? It's not that we look down on you, but I mean, what choices do we have? You know what I mean? And we set the bar. So, hey, feel how you want to feel. It's not personal. It's just business. And it's just straight like that. Big Chief. Yeah.
You forgot the kicker.
Oh, Harrison Barnes. Shout out
Barnes?
to
Is it Barnes?
Buckner.
Okay.
Harrison Buckner.
There it is.
Arguably one of the best kickers ever as well.
I think that's debatable. I think our kicker this year is one of the best.
Who?
Chris Boswell. But didn't Buckner get hurt?
Yeah, he had a few things going on in the offseason.
Well, nope, not touching that. I thought this year though he got hurt. I thought there were a couple of games.
He did because we had Matt Wright come in, and that's the guy that hit the field with a goalpost, still winning.
Bounced him. It's craziness.
Yeah, so.
Anyways, well, thank you for shouting out, all the team. So when you're watching the Chiefs, just watch them. I guess what do you say? When you watch the Chiefs, they're going to play football like you're supposed to play football, to be fair. If you don't know much about football and you're still learning, because we all know there's a lot of new fans and there's a lot of things happening, the Kansas City Chiefs play football the way you're supposed to play football. And it just makes sense. They're going to take risks. They're going to do all the things. And you can almost do whatever you want when you have the best quarterback in the NFL on your team. And it just is what it is. So there's that. You didn't even shout out Taylor Swift. No? We don't do that? Okay. So, what would you like people to know when they're watching the Eagles?
I would definitely probably say, hopefully this changes by the playoffs, but I doubt it. Us being a second half team, because everybody probably knows from watching the media and whatever, we
fast starts.
Yeah, we usually get off slower starts.
Even one thing I will say, because I watch a lot of the Eagles, I'm a quasi Eagles fan. I will admit it. I think I even said in a couple of my videos, don't judge me, Steelers fans. I'm sorry. I cheer for the Eagles. My bad. Is you never know what you're going to get from the Eagles. In a good way. You never know if it's going to be like an offensive explosion, a running back explosion, an AJ Brown game, a Devontae Smith game, a linebacker game, a corners game. a Carter game. Like, you just never know what kind of game you're going to get. And shout out to that offensive line this year for, you know, doing what they're supposed to do. So anyways, I enjoy watching the Eagles. I think it's a fun watch, and I can't wait to see how they look in the playoffs and who they play and all the things. So that's how I feel. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always talking trash about your team. I would be very disappointed if you did not talk trash about your team. So thank you for providing us that. I'm going to be honest and say I think the Eagles are the complete team. Hopefully this will give you a better understanding about the Chiefs and a better understanding about the Eagles. And what better way to learn about these two teams than to hear it from their fans? Before this video ends, don't forget to take a second and let me know who you are cheering for in this year's Super Bowl. It is no surprise that I am cheering for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I hope the refs are also cheering for the Philadelphia Eagles. I will see you in my next video.